Hi, I'm Slam Gaming. Quick note, this video will contain spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom and Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Be warned. Pokémon and Zelda have been compared a lot recently. It all really started when the Switch came around in 2017. Finally, the two gaming giants were truly competing in the same space. Before the Switch, Pokémon was a handheld game, and Zelda was a console game. Sure, there were plenty of exceptions both ways, but the heart and soul of the two franchises were fundamentally separate, and there was peace. But then everything changed when Nintendo attacked. And by attacked, I mean that they decided that handheld devices and home consoles were better together, and smushed them both into the Switch. Now, instead of being neighbors, Pokémon and Zelda were living in the same house. This is going to bring about more comparisons. But what really opened the Pandora's box was Pokémon's desire to transition into much more of a true open-world RPG. Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet added so much to the formula that pushed it firmly towards the genre, from a freely explorable open world, to side quests, to seamless battling and catching, to stealth mechanics, to even full-on boss battles that require real-time dodging and attacking with the player character. It's a new Pokémon now, and they happen to be expanding right into where Zelda has made its bread and butter for decades, with Tears of the Kingdom being the latest masterpiece in the long-running series. With that in mind, I want to name the 3 places I think Pokémon could really learn from Zelda in its future games. This isn't meant as a dig at Scarlet and Violet, just an acknowledgement that it's a lot of new ground for the series, and change comes with some growing pains. And I want to keep it realistic too, changes I could feasibly see happening sometime in the near future. I'm not going to suggest Pokémon arms the player with a sword and ditches turn-based battling altogether, at least not in this video. Watch these 2 clips. Now watch these 2 clips.
The moment I had the sword, I knew what to do. I knew this was why I came to this era. I want to restore the Master Sword and deliver it to Link.
Zelda is smart about how it allocates its voice acting. It's not like Fire Emblem, where every line is fully read aloud. Instead, major cutscenes get voice acting, and then the rest of the interactions use identifying grunts and other vocal noises to indicate dialogue. First off, there's really no reason that the full cutscenes shouldn't have voice acting in Pokémon. They are continuing to get more and more cinematic, which only heightens how weird it is that the only dialogue is in the form of text on the screen. It's starting to really detract from how impactful these scenes are, and I would be seriously shocked if this isn't a change that gets implemented sometime in the next couple of generations. But honestly, the bigger problem for me is the lack of those smaller vocal cues in the main course of the gameplay. It's such a small thing that makes such a huge difference. Scarlet and Violet rolled out this huge open world, but it feels less lively without the characters having a voice of their own. It makes villains less menacing, allies less companionly, and side characters less differentiated. It's a shame, and something I hope that Pokémon considers moving forward. Paldea is full of Pokémon. Sometimes, that is really annoying, like when I run into every minute flittle on a single route. But mostly, it's a good thing. It allows Pokémon to build habitats for their Pokémon to exist in, and really make them feel like the wild animals that they are. It helps Paldea feel more alive, more real. But whatever the Pokémon add in making Paldea feel more real, the lack of side quests fully detracts from. Now, before you say anything, yes, the academies offer plenty of side quests in the form of classes and lessons. and they do help the teacher characters shine. But that's kind of beside the point I'm making. Outside of the academy, towns and villages are little more than gym locations, generic shops, and some hidden items and TMs. And that's a real problem for me. I think the robust catalog of side quests is what makes Tears of the Kingdom feel so special, the same way that Breath of the Wild did before it. These games assert that there is nothing to a big, beautiful open world without people to see and interact with in it. And these quests are layered and impact the world as a whole. I'll never forget how after helping save Lurelin Village from pirates, you will come across people all over the entire map who are delighted when you share the good news. Some even choose to return to the village, and you can find them there later. That sort of logical cause and effect is immensely rewarding, and those little connections with everyone across Hyrule accumulate to make your connection to the whole world feel strong. Not only that, it makes you want to help everyone you can. And in some ways, the side quests are some of the biggest draws in the game for me, even if they don't offer unique loot or rewards. That is how you leverage the open world you have spent years building. Pokémon actually did dive into this in Legends Arceus, with your side quests helping to transform Jubilife Village, and that's part of what made that game stand out so much to me. I hope that wasn't a one-off thing for Pokémon, as Paldea can sometimes feel more like a bunch of isolated landmarks in a big map, rather than a fully fleshed out world. Tears of the Kingdom took a long time to release, like 6 years long. That's not really Pokemon's MO. They're more a once a year, maybe even twice a year kind of mentality. Now, I totally understand why they do this. You release a Pokemon game, and it doesn't matter how it's received, that bad boy is selling 15 million copies, at least. That's more than the lifetime sales of Ocarina of Time, including the 3DS remake. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, probably the worst received of the Switch Pokemon games, lapped Wind Waker in sales, including the remake again. But those are older games, less consoles sold. Breath of the Wild changed open world gaming, surely that can't be easily beat. Well, Pokemon Sword and Shield come pretty close to its sales on their own. You get the point. Pokemon sells like hotcakes. Why change anything? That is a hard question for me to answer, because it's not one rooted in hard data. Scarlet and Violet sold just as well as the other big titles in their lineup, but I just can't shake the feeling that this isn't sustainable. I might be a moron. Okay, well, I am a moron, but I mean about this specifically. I just can't believe that you can make games that run this poorly in 2023 and beyond without eventually turning a corner and suffering on account of it. I mean, I loved a lot about the Teal Mask DLC, but come on, it's like playing Pokemon in slow motion, and the main game is not much better. Like, why even bother making a huge open world RPG like Pokemon fans have always dreamed of if you're not going to take the time to optimize it? And that's the key word here, optimize. I don't think these problems are unfixable. Sure, Paldea is seamless and huge, but Legends Arceus showed that the idea can be implemented relatively smoothly. I think it's a matter of taking more time to squeeze whatever water you can out of the stone that is the Nintendo Switch's hardware, or whatever the successor to the Nintendo Switch's hardware is. I know that Zelda has many less enemies than Pokémon has Pokémon, like almost 1,000 less, but you're Pokémon. You are the largest media company in the world. Even if you want to keep a stable release schedule, can't you contract out other teams to work on side projects while you make your main games look and run as beautifully as you imagined? This isn't a complaint about style, design, or gameplay. I just wish that they had taken the time to make the game run, which I don't think is too much to ask. Even if I'm not a game designer or even a businessman, I'm just a fan, and I'm just making suggestions on the internet. but I believe that Zelda should be a standard. Not for everyone, I want to be abundantly clear about that. The indie studios that make wonderful smaller games do not need to be trying to pump out massive RPGs. Noodle just made a wonderful video about this very point. Please go check it out. But for franchises as resource-rich and stable as Pokémon, and that are already in the same general space, trying to do the same general things, I think we should compare the two. I think it will only make Pokémon better. Because that's all I really want. Pokémon to be the best that it can be. Okay, rant over. Man, you would not think I was as huge of a Pokémon fan as I am after that. But I am. It's all from a place of love. Seriously. Let's wrap up. I think that Pokémon could take a cue from Zelda and implement limited voice acting with supplementary vocal cues, more side quests that are evenly spread out, and take time to make sure that their games run the best they possibly can. I think that those are three things that are realistic in scope and make a lot of sense for the series moving forward. But what do you think? I'm sure I have offered plenty to ruffle some feathers, but I also would really like to hear the counterpoints to my arguments. Let me know below. And if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it helps bring more Pokémon and Zelda content to you. As always, I'm Slam Gaming, and have a great rest of your day. See you next time.